you, Diana Kajadjan, and she is going to be talking about English grammar in formulas. Is it mathematics formulas or scientific or all kinds of?
You will see.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Right.
Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen. To start this presentation, I need your support. Are you ready to support me? To start this presentation, also, I have a question to you. How all the academic subjects are similar to each other? Just your opinion. Okay, my answer is all academic subjects provide puzzles and their solutions. Second question, how do you think, what do you think all the students have in common regardless their age group? My choice is the wish to learn and implement any material as soon as possible. So the presentation I'm going to share with you today meets all these requirements. The puzzle solution, quick pace, and efficiency. So I'm Diana Kajadjan, an English teacher and translator from Armenia. I'm here to present you a very specific style of English teaching, grammar, which was created by my mother 40 years ago, Hasmik Hambaran, and has been used by her till now extremely efficiently, and then developed, rationalized, and used by me for already 20 years quite successfully. So this long period of time of successful teaching and the enormous students getting their education, studying in different universities worldwide witness its unique efficiency. For students, the most attractive in this English grammar in formulas are the lack of traditional long grammar terminology and explanations, and the easy explanations and the puzzles with their solutions that the students enjoy the most. Out of the whole material, I will be touching upon only the grammar tense forms, and we'll have to skip the other parts of speech. So, any sentence is a family, whether extended or nuclear, in which the verb is the most responsible family member, because without it, our history wouldn't exist, our present wouldn't move on, and our future plans wouldn't be made. So let's start. This is how English verb is classified. We have classified it into two files, file 2 and file 2b. I'll be speaking about file 2. As you can see, there are 4 columns, first, second, third, and fourth. They represent the tense forms. The same thing, absolutely the same thing works in 2b. And the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and again the same thing. Numbers are the implementations to these tense forms. The same thing in file 2b. While 2b here has 2 rules. To be used in phrases, for example, to be happy, to be punctual, to be a professor, and to be in passive voice, to be plus the third form of the verb. And I would like to mention here that no terminology is being used. And now you can see, here maybe you have noticed that odd numbers 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, the same thing in 2b are marked red, and even numbers 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4 are marked blue. Why it is done so, later we'll explain. Now we will go on with our locations in our time space. This type of explanation can be used in any language because it is based only on human logic. Let's move on. This picture, for example, Number 1 in the first column shows general, presents general tense form in present. For example, I write a letter. Actions which will still happen are placed above this line. The top is open, and actions which have already happened below this line. It is very important every time while explaining to students the starting point. Here the starting point is the present. I will write a letter, it means. And again, no terminology is being used for them to make it easy. Here, number 2 in the second column shows an action which was before present. I wrote a letter. For example, Jack said he would write a letter. Here the starting point is the past. If we don't have that starting point past, a symbol of past, let's imagine I'm deleting, would have unreal condition. I would write a letter if I had time. Equals to the third column. Here we have taken the tense forms in ovals, as you can see, in ovals. Action we started before present. I have written a letter. I have written a letter. The same thing, absolutely the same thing, but in past. He said he had written a letter. Action which will be over before certain time. I will have written a letter by 4 o'clock. And Jack said he would have written a letter by 4 o'clock. Again, if we don't have this starting point, the symbol of past, we would have unreal condition. I would have written a letter if I had time. Now the fourth column, we have introduced it in wavy line, to emphasize the continuous process of tense. I'm writing a letter right now. Starting point is the present. I was writing a letter, and in future at certain exact time, I will be writing a letter at 4 o'clock, for example. The same thing, absolutely the same thing, but in past, I would be writing a letter at 4 o'clock. Now we have here combination of two tense forms. Action we started before present and is still going on. I have been writing a letter for already 3 hours. He said he had been writing a letter for already 3 hours. We have here a combination of 3 tense forms. Action we started before present is still going on and will still be going on. At 6 o'clock, I will have been writing a letter for already 3 hours. The same thing in past. He said at 6 o'clock he would have been writing a letter for already 3 hours. Though these last tense forms are quite rarely used, we have to introduce them too, of course. And it's important to mention here that only the first auxiliaries in both files, file 2 and 2b, work in interrogative and negative forms. So my students even jokingly call them scapegoat. So we finished all the 16 tense forms in file 2. As we mentioned before, the same works in file 2b, absolutely the same thing. So now we are approaching to the destination of our puzzle. As you see, odd numbers 1, 1, 1, 3, 3, 3 are relating to present time space and even numbers relate to past, where numbers 1, 1, 1, 1 present types of present, identify types of present, and numbers 3 present the types of future. So when we have starting point in past, all numbers 1 descend to 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and here 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. And also after explaining these pictures, my students just call them masterpieces of Picasso, jokingly, and the name stuck. In fact, all students enjoy drawing them because only through several lines they can imagine and use all the tenses. And on these two files, file 2 and 2b, the same thing, absolutely the same thing works in 2b. They can easily locate the needed time space in their native language and find the needed time space in English. And moreover, just looking at these pictures, they can translate any tense form avoiding long traditional explanations. And it's a must to mention that these graphs or formulas, or as they call students, Picasso masterpieces, also facilitate and decrease the time for explanation of other grammar materials such as reported speech, passive voice, question types, infinitive, question types, participle 1 and 2, and infinitive also join, where again no classical term is used. So as a result, what do we have? All traditionally accepted explanations turn into just simple graphs, pictures, or formulas, which are quite easily understood and used. And can you imagine these graphs are explained to students within 2 or 4 classes, no more. And finally, I want to show you how you can translate the sentence from your local or native language into English. Just in your mind, try to locate the exact time, space, and tense form on these graphs 2 and 2b, and transfer it into English. I can help you with the following example. I will show it in file 2. For example, he said he had recently bought a book which he was reading and which he would have finished by next Monday. So I have combined 4 tense forms just in one sentence according to this picture. So, however, we would be very glad and honored to collaborate and share these materials with any of you wishing to use the same methodology. Thank you for your attention. I hope you like my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
With a minute to spare.
Well done.
Sorry? You had a minute extra. Do you still have anything to tell them?
No, this.
Okay, questions? I always look at linguists and language specialists, and I tend to think when I listen to Prof. Marty talking about mathematics, I felt the pain, because I don't know, many of you might agree that maths is difficult. But I think few of us think how complex language construction is and what a hamper it places on learning. Because especially, I don't know, I look at you and I think many of you have learners who have to learn in English as a second language and how complex that makes it. Any questions?
I wish I had as my English teacher.
Go to South Africa.
Or come to our place in Armenia, or online.
Yeah.
We can collaborate.
Any other questions? You did very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Here's your presentation certificates.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.